Maxlore, still very powerful. Did see some nerfs this patch as well, but I think a little bit stronger than Kindred comparatively after Kindred was also hit incredibly hard.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes, especially today, on how the bot lane 2v2 meta evolves, because if you look at over North America, there was a very high priority on even Zyra support, picked very often over the likes of Bard, which we thought was like tier 1 last week, and did some research into it, saw some matches as well. A very, very lane-dominant character with a very easy poke and harass style. We may see that picked up later on. High utility in teamfights too.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, the bans are coming in very quickly. First pick Trundle on the side of H2K. Still an option for that to be a flex pick here, depending on what's locked in. But despite the nerfs, Maxlore still opting to go with this Kindred here. Must still be pretty comfortable on the champion. Viktor backing it up as well. Interesting to see first pick priority going over to this mid lane.
Yeah, the core of Kindred didn't get changed though. The champion still does things well, what she always did. With some of the mid lane bans out, and early Viktor seems to be emerging as a top tier pick, and there's not that many counter matchups that punish him that hard left, especially if you get some early upgrades on the Hex core. Like his lasers just gonna be evaporating waves, making him very easy to play, and just yeah, highly potent in team fights. It's definitely scary to know Viktor ulti, how much damage he can push out. So the Giants, they're already building towards a team fight comp with Viktor and Kindred. That is very clear. And H2K, whenever you draft Trundle, you're playing at least a 1-4, maybe a 1-3-1. So definitely already in the first few picks, we see them building towards different results.
And very different, especially as the second rotation is locked in on the side of H2K. Maybe we have teamfight on the side of Giants, but I'm seeing a lot of pick potential coming in from H2K. We've got the Ashe, these utility AD carries that Vedi has talked about on the desk, as well as the Elise. Get those fights started on your terms from H2K.
Yeah, Ashe, Elise, this is of a foregone era. This is a combination we have seen in the past of League of Legends. You need to have some synergy with each other. You definitely want to start firing from off-screen. Never want to fire that arrow in vision, because then it's very easy to dodge. But when you can surprise people from Fog of War with some good pink wards, vision denial, Ashe arrow is definitely a tool you need to have in your arsenal, especially on 6.11.
Definitely. And I think what's really interesting here is how H2K have kind of adjusted coming into this patch. Lucian no longer priority, no more Caitlyn for freeze. They're instead putting him on a full-on utility AD carry, and maybe that alleviates a bit of the pressure on him, lets him serve more of a team-focused role as opposed to having to be that individual carry.
Yeah, and we're also seeing some player over in North America mentioned it last week in an interview. Can't remember who it was, but he's saying, well, the support metagame is kind of wide open, so they're in that sense, teams are kind of saving their support picks later and later to really have a big influence on the composition and give it the final kind of sense of direction. Here we see H2K as well, leaving it until the last rotation, seeing like, Giants, what are you going to pick? Are you going to pick melee support? Because then we have a little bit more liberty. Or do we need to win the range support war, where you pick one and we pick one that's either cheesier or stronger in terms of poke potential? Giants have drafted Sivir Karma, a lane that lanes incredibly dominantly if it can push. But if you can challenge the push, then obviously with Ashe plus Poke Champ on bottom lane, you can actually have some interesting bot lane dynamic.
And of course, just so hard to deal with that Sivir and that Ricochet, clearing out the early waves. Karma as well, an incredibly strong pick in the early game. But it looks like you're going to get your wish, Krepo. It was a priority in North America. It's made its way into Europe. That is going to be the Zyra support coming in for Vander.
And let me preface this by saying that I absolutely hate Zyra support as a player. I told many players this when I talked to them, it's like, why is it good? This champion must be bad. Then I got home yesterday, played a couple of games, they got my ass handed to me multiple times by Zyra players, and it's just, she has easy gameplay to an extent. Her harass pattern is very easy to pull off, and it's just very consistent, and it's incredibly annoying to play against. So this is definitely what H2K is looking for. Lane dominant lanes on the side lanes with Trundle and with this Ashe Zyra, and then having the TF survive in mid lane. He actually lanes well into the Viktor with decent mobility, sidestep lasers. He can challenge a push, so he won't get pushed in over and over, and then he can disappear. You will never force on a Viktor lane, but you move away and you roam. So in that sense, TF is a good pick here. So I like what H2K have done. They need to snowball though. Make no mistake, with a pick comp like this, they need to get ahead in the early to mid game, because obviously the super strong teamfight comp from Giants will get ahead if they're allowed to group.
Absolutely, of course. Kindred and Sivir, as well as Viktor, both such high damage threats. And while the changes to Kindred obviously have impacted her early game immensely, eventually that dance of arrows will start to hurt more. Maxlore, I don't think he's going to get to that 8 to 10 stack range where it really starts to hit like a truck, but still something to consider. And of course, when you have a tanky frontliner like this Maokai, your team comp overall just excels in those team fight situations.
Yeah, we've seen some changes to the stacks. Even if you get a little bit lucky earlier, you won't get the natural snowball path as we've seen before, because then the stacks start shifting to more difficult targets to take later in the game, only on those epic monsters. Definitely need to see if these Kindred players are aware of that, incorporate that into their gameplay, or just ultimately weaker.
Yeah, interesting overall. But of course, looking at the two team compositions on your screen, if you think H2K can pull it out with the throwback Ashe Zyra lane, tweet out hashtag H2K win. Or if you think Giants are going to be able to pull it out with the old-fashioned murder train, the Sivir Karma, tweet hashtag GIA win as we get into our first game of the day in this best of two between H2K and Giants.
Yeah, you don't want to be a lone straggler left behind by the team when the paint train comes along. First off your face, if you're like Ashe, Zyra, Twisted Fate, like one flash Twisted advance from SmittyJ is enough, so we need, and by we I mean H2K, need to keep that guy down. He does have a favorable matchup here. I wonder even if Giants want to swap.
Will be interesting to see.
You can have the discussion in one sense that you dodge the Trundle Maokai matchup, but on the other hand, you open up the map. And if you open up the map with an Ashe and a Twisted Fate on the board, that may not be the best idea in the world.
Definitely something to consider. So much map mobility, map pressure with the Twisted Fate and the Ashe. One of those ults appearing anyway, or anywhere rather.
A lot of pings.
A lot of pings. Of course, moving in. They are going to get that ward, a nice little consolation prize from this early aggression. And Zyra continuously spawning plants here. Interesting to see moving forward. Of course, relatively calm in the early game. Doesn't look like anyone is moving for the lane swap quite yet. Calm plays. Backs coming out from H2K, though. Looks like they may want to shift to the top lane. I think they're just trying to get a read on this one.
Yeah, definitely trying to get a read on it. Bot lane is a skill matchup. We need to see whose poke is stronger. I think Ashe Zyra does have the edge, though. They just have, easier poke and more repetitive to land. Sivir rather has a spell shield. I don't think they can manage as well. This might be one of the few matchups where it's counterintuitive to do a camp, because you lose too much.
Very interesting, of course. You can see finally at the end, Giants are going to come out with a lane swap. SONSTAR and Hustlin moving up into the top lane. Although Hustlin gonna make the standard support stop off. Wants to just get some harass down. But Odoamne's here and waiting in the bush. This could be the ambush that they're waiting for. Hustlin taking a bit of damage here. Looks like he will just be able to walk this one out, and not at all what he wants to get in that early trade, but lane swap still going pretty much as expected for both sides.
Yeah, like teams adapting to, the standard support invade, especially these matchups that don't really want to do camps. Like these lane push matchups, they can clear out a camp rather quickly, but they obviously get a big advantage from just pushing in early, pushing on the tower.
No.
I think pushing on second wave here. No top laners present just yet. And obviously these range supports plus poke AD carries are incredibly quick at lane stops too, because we talk about this all the time, but the whole goal is that you tank the creeps while you AoE them while hitting the tower. As we see Karma right here, tanking the creeps, wants to group them up for a big mantra Q. Suddenly, Boomerang from Sivir flies through. A lot of AoE potential here. So should be a very quick lane swap for both teams.
Both teams coming out pretty fast on this. Giants normally a little bit behind, but feeling pretty comfortable overall so far. Maxlore making sure to clear out the jungle before he heads up to support his team. No real aggression anywhere quite yet. Really just waiting for that next step in the lane swap.
I also think H2K is somewhat okay with it. Yes, the Trundle won't get as much farm, so individually in a side lane matchup, people will be punished. But if you look at what Zyra brings, especially if we're looking at like a double swap scenario, where we're playing for both tier 1s, she can spawn plants every time. They also take out one turret shot. So not only do those plants help you with killing the enemy creeps, they also absorb some extra turret shots, keeping your creeps alive longer. So she has a rather large impact in the lane swap scenario. Overall, it's only a matter of seconds, so we need to see what they can gain from it, obviously, and that's which dragon's gonna spawn. And that appears to be a Cloud one today, so the benefit won't be that large.
Yeah, not going to find too much off the back of that first Cloud Drake. Still not a very high priority in competitive play. Really just the consolation prize when you have a lead in most situations. Ryu, of course, continuing to push in the mid lane here. Knight not looking too uncomfortable. Ryu, that's not really what he wants, but no aggression here as Knight is completely out of mana at this stage of the laning phase.
Yeah, he's just forcing a Knight to CS with his spells. Obviously not then being able to harass Ryu, and then Ryu has more sustain because he can infinitely replenish his mana with those blue cards. That is the laning pattern of a TF, and that's why this pick works. TF usually loses against a lot of lane dominant picks, but Viktor kind of rolls over and farms. He can do that in a lot of matchups, but it's kind of TF's lane pattern as well. But TF just does it slightly better, therefore he's actually getting a big CS lead here.
And of course, the changes to Viktor's Death Laser do make it so that he can play PvE just fine. Super easy to clear out those waves still, but actually trading with another champion very difficult. So Knight, no real tools to deal with the Viktor or the TF on one-on-one.
And especially the sustained breakpoint is about to be hit here when Rio hits its teleport. Knight's playing with Cleanse. That's obviously going to be a big hit right now. He's staying somewhat even, but he has the base soon. That's going to be another 8 CS that he drops, and then we'll already have a window of opportunity for Rio to port out these incredibly long lanes.
Yeah. Interesting itemization coming in as well as we see Odoamne working on this top lane tower. Do have the Catalyst coming down for TF early, so potentially Rod of Ages coming out in the early game. A scaling option for this TF. They want to take it early apparently, but also maybe want to have that kind of backup plan of the Rod of Ages.
It also just plays into the laning style that we were describing just now. You know, the very push-heavy, sustain type of deal that you want to do with the Catalyst, plus the blue cards. Just pushing the Viktor over and over and hopefully find a pick on a side lane. Because yes, Odoamne is weaker right now, but so is this Maokai. If TF comes into that lane, SmittyJ is level 3 right now. Ryu's vastly approaching level 6, just at level 6. So he's 3 levels ahead of SmittyJ, who's stuck on a very long lane. So if he walks down right now, I think he can legit just get a kill on Smitty whenever he wants.
Is pushing in the wave. We'll have the freedom to roam. Instead, opting to throw some shots onto this tower. Knight, of course, completely out of mana, not at all where he wants to be overall. And really, we've got to keep our eyes on Jankos. Is going to clear out that vision here. Any kind of gank attempt going to be denied. But this man, First Blood King, he either goes down or he gets a kill.
That's not how a king works. Kings generally stay alive for a while. They send in other people to do the battle for them. But yeah, Jankos, very much so a participant.
Yeah, we give him the participation trophy. He showed up. He shows up every time. Of course, have to see if it's going to work out in his favor this time around, or if the trend will continue. Vander moving up as well. Looks like they are gearing up to put some pressure on this tier 2 tower. Giants on the opposite side, a little bit behind, opting to funnel some farm into SONSTAR.
Yeah, but in these very large lane swap scenarios, we see kind of the futility. That's only a few keystones.
No, we don't need the rest.
You don't need the rest. 6
only those ones. Bot lane's always the same, right?
Here we go, teleportation.
Oh, moving in. SONSTAR potentially in trouble. Good use of the spell shield there. Does block the yellow card.
Yeah. Feel like we missed some communication there. Going for the Sivir, ending up on the same side as your Trundle. Spell shield still being up. That's a big, we have to call it out what it was. That was a bad play by Ryu. That's a big mistake.
Yep.
Because you really have to make that first ultimate stick, especially when you're playing so carefree in this lane swap scenario.
Yep. Only has so much more time, too, where he's actually going to be able to keep this Viktor pushed in. Maxlore throwing down the mounting dread. And it goes Jankos. Quick flash over the wall. Vander in the pit as well, but he's just going to have to flash to safety. H2K, huge moment of mispositioning there.
Yeah, and that's what we're used to seeing from H2K week 1. They have this solid setup with some ways to kind of make the play, but then they wait, they hesitate, and eventually they realize they're hesitating, and then they force it too hard. Almost. They try and chase a loss. Very poor strategy to do. And especially since they divided the map, the bottom half side of the map was kind of in their control. They yield top side, and they go for the one target that actually has a built-in counter to this TF card, which is obviously Sivir.
Yeah, and then immediately followed up with another play, as you mentioned. So really not waiting for those major cooldowns, trying to get something, determined to take advantage of what they have on the map, but just not paying off for them overall. Of course, another perk of this composition, the Hawk Shot, and as well as the TF Destiny. So a lot of vision utility available for both sides. But looking across the map, things are pretty much even everywhere. No one really striking any major blows against the other team. H2K with a decent lead at this stage of the game, actually, moving up to 1K. And that's just these tiny farm advantages in every lane.
Good old Hawk Shot. Reminiscent of the times where we had Clairvoyance.
Do you remember when supports took Clairvoyance?
I remember. It's a guessing game.
Where are they going to be?
They're going to be.
Maxlore continuing to clear out. Ryu pushing up the mid lane.
The best Clairvoyance play still was that Fnatic bait.
The bait? Where they Clairvoyance the bush that they're in?
It's like, clearly we won't be here because we just use Clairvoyance.
See, that's the thing. The mind games just aren't a thing.
Wrong.
No, yeah. They're not. It's not like it used to be, you know? Now we got Baron baits, but there's no more Clairvoyancing your own bush. That was a terrible summoner spell, though.
What? We're part of a team. No combat stats whatsoever. Find the jungler. Back then, you could also invisible CS track. So you see the CS go up in Fog of War.
Figure
like,
out where they're at. Ryu trading back. Maxlore making his way into the mid lane. I think Knight going for the bait here. Yeah. His acting skills. Maybe enough, actually. Ryu.
I mean, both these guys will play at max range, and the moment somebody steps in beyond what is the expected lane pattern, you know something's fishy. Flash flank here from Smitty. Obviously, Ryu playing towards his strong side, very important. We need to see an Ashe arrow. We're also seeing some of the weaknesses of these range support, especially in lane swap scenarios where they end up under-leveled. They're just not a threat. If level 4 Thresh walks into your lane, or a Braum, and you can connect a Q, something, you're caught. But Zyra Snare is an incredibly slow-traveling particle. Karma Q explosion is, yeah, kind of futile, especially when the damage component is relatively weak because you're under-leveled. So that's why we see these guys kind of hug their AD carry, and it slows the game down a lot.
Really limiting the roam potential coming out from Hustlin or Vander, as you said, just sticking there. Now focusing in on SONSTAR, you can see going for the BF sword, has the Cole, doing okay so far this game.
Yeah, he's down on CS, but that's because he's respecting this matchup, because he never wants to use his spell shield on a trade with Volley, because that puts him at risk of getting arrowed. And that's kind of counterintuitive, because you think Sivir's a good pick with the spell shield, but in this laning scenario, rather, if he gets a spell shield down once, obviously he's under threat of Fog of War. Right now, Jankos is moving in, though.
Potentially in trouble. Ryu coming up. They want to use the Destiny here. Jankos taking a lot of damage. Chain comes out, going to snare him up. SmittyJ on the backline. They're moving in. That's first blood coming out. SmittyJ now moving for more. H2K on the retreat, but here comes the TP from Odo. Trying to make it out. That's a double kill. The Viktor damage. Absolutely massive. Giants. 3 kills instantly.
Yeah, pop goes SmittyJ, and this is definitely the teamfight composition that we were praising from Giants. If H2K group, they fail to make their first pick stick, and they can't make it a 45, yeah, then obviously they will roll over and die. And with that death, that is the third first blood this season already that Jankos has given up. So still has that participation prize. Sadly on the wrong end of things. Yeah. And this is just bold. You can't move in blind. Obviously wastes his repel as well. Doesn't get the maximum amount of seconds there. And H2K don't finish off Maxlore here, who still has his ulti. And at this point, good sidestep for Maxlore on the cards too. Look at SmittyJ. Gets a speed up from Karma. Teleport is too late for a team initiating this play. H2K is not on the same page, especially when you consider that they're going for kind of a team play when they're a pick comp. They had no pressure on the other side of the map. Usually when you go for an aggressive move on one side and you're playing split push pick, you kind of want to force the teleport back off and then have Odoamne take an advantage on the top side of the map, whether it's farm or tower. So very knee-jerky reaction from H2K.
Yeah, and really just not quite on the same page in terms of ultimate usage. Freeze finally using the arrow, but it's just to try to save his comrade there. Doesn't work out in the end. Ryu trying to zone the Viktor out, but really at the end of the day, Jankos getting caught forces them to play around that, and Giants more than happy to capitalize.
Yeah, and it gives SONSTAR the breathing room he was looking for too. He was down like 30 CS right now, 14, but also a couple assists to bridge that gap.
Definitely, I mean, happy to have that back. Jankos, though, maybe hoping to get a little bit.
He spotted around the corner. That has to be so satisfying for Maxlore.
Peeking it out.
Peeking from the backside. Yeah, that guy's hiding. Don't walk.
Vander throwing down what damage he can.
Those plans are nasty, by the way. Kill them immediately. People just love standing there and watching them. Like, oh, that's cool. Nice
Garden tour.
It's a nice concept R2. Really good job by the R team. No, they hurt. Especially on supports. We don't have much resistances, so taking down for us, help us.
Moving in, though, we talked about Ryu and Knight trading here in the mid lane, but looking at the top lane, Trundle looks to be moving towards the split push build here. Titanic Hydra potentially on the way. But at the end of the day, any advantage he does have, the 20 CS balanced out, Vander's going to throw down some more of those nasty plants. Because SmittyJ has 2 kills at this stage, and the early Sunfire Cape making this lane so much easier.
Here we go, TF ulti reactionary.
Destiny comes in, arrow flash pass, but it's going to hit Hustlin in the end. They're backing off. They don't quite have the damage. Maxlore, Cocoon not going to hit. They are going to burn on the hunt and just walk out of that situation. Good defense from H2K, but not getting too much.
Yeah, Knight's always ready to move, so he was lurking on the top side. I was wondering if he would have liked to take the aggressive path in the jungle and then just went for a flash ulti there. Because H2K, when they're chasing, they bunch up. There's enough mobility in Giants to not get one shot. Obviously, the Kindred ulti buys enough time, too, for whichever characters are not in the fight coming to the fold. then obviously when you're bunched up focusing a single target, Knight can come in and just single-handedly win a team fight.
Yeah, Knight on that Viktor. We talked about how terrifying it can be, and he's ahead in CS now in the lane. He has those 2 assists as well, building towards that Morel and Omicron. Things appear to be going well for him so far, and Ryu, yes, he's stacking up that rod, but just hasn't been able to have any impact on the map quite yet. Consistently trying to find picks, trying to help the team, but it just hasn't come together for H2K yet.
Yeah, right now H2K should be fine holding here, and they're trying a different approach. Freeze is taking his time on the bot wave. Perhaps not freezing it, but definitely a nice little chill on that wave. Very slowly pushing it out, and it forces Knight and SONSTAR to share farm in the mid lane while they try and maybe siege, but it's very hard to push in this TF if you get access to the wave early.
A little bit concerning as well, because leaving Freeze in the side wave has been pretty detrimental for H2K overall. Haven't seen him come to too many team fights.
Yeah, and this is the expected result, and of course, a bit of a siege going on. No hard CC.
Locked up, chaining the CC, cleanse comes out. We'll have the flash to safety. Both summoners burned, but not a whole lot traded.
Yeah, and this is just a trading of resources. H2K can hold fine 3 versus 4 in the mid lane because there's no hard engage component on the side of Giants, which means they can challenge the wave. And obviously, Freeze gets a massive advantage in terms of resources. 33 CS ahead again. Oh, he just was even. So this is a good little move, a good macro move here from H2K.
Definitely allowing them to get some pressure on that top side. Laid down some vision. Yes, they give up the Cloud Drake, but not anything to be too concerned about quite yet.
Just wasn't there yet.
Just isn't quite enough. Of course, it looks like Rift Herald is going to be started up. Not something we normally see priority put on here, but it looks like H2K are pretty committed to letting Odoamne split push.
Yeah, one of the reasons you don't see that much priority in the early game, as we see Arrow coming out. Yeah, that's
we're gonna keep following.
We're gonna follow it.
No,
make sure he gets
to
the
end.
Now we're distracting the Karma. Hustle and settling is very important.
Of course, you can see on your screen out of combat movement speed, and now Rift Herald going down in the favor of H2K, but Odoamne is taking a lot of damage. Maxlore's burning pretty quick though. The Trundle does hurt, but he is going to drop in the end. Lamb's Respite goes down. Knight sitting in it. There's no way he's going to drop. The heal comes in. H2K on the way. The double kill, though, for Knight. Ryu in the back line trying to get something. Zyra ult will stop SmittyJ. If they're trading back, that's the 3 for 2. Looking to make it more. Hustlin's overstepped, and H2K, what a turnaround.
Yeah, H2K turned it around because they have a distinct members advantage. They go for the objective, and this time everybody's around to join the fight, whereas SONSTAR is stuck on the bottom lane. Yes, he gets the push, he gets the tower, but these little picks, snowballing individual members like Ryu and TF is what H2K want. They want isolated kind of gold. They want a couple of members to be very strong so they can decide where to make the picks. Giants, obviously running the team fight. They don't really care who the gold goes to as much because they all have their role.
Very true, and of course, things still going pretty well for Giants in terms of the kill score, but the gold is steadily starting to grow in the favor of H2K. Freeze in the bottom lane, and then, of course, this fight as well.
Yeah, they're also just engaging on Jankos. Then Odoamne takes aggro, Ryu steps in. Has to be careful, though. Sidesteps the second part of the laser, which is good. They're just buying time here, because right now Freeze arrives, and a really good Zyra ultimate coming in here. You see why she's picked very often. Because just so much damage and zone potential to really keep Freeze alive. Because Freeze was falling very early in a lot of fights last week. And with this comp kind of rushing at them, maybe Vander can buy enough time for his team to survive and kite back.
Yeah, worked out well now, but the pressure's on in the mid lane as Giants start to push in. Vander's still waiting on the cooldowns for that Stranglethorns, and the tower will drop in the favor of Giants, now evening out the turret score overall. You can see that buff on your screen for Odoamne.
Yeah, and that lasts quite a while, this Rift Herald buff. That's why you take it as late as possible, because it doesn't really matter in the early game as much. It's not quite impactful, but the percent obviously means more later in the game. That's why you kind of want to take it at the 16, 17, 18 minute mark. Put it on your split pusher, your top laner usually, and have him get great benefit from it.
Yep, a nice little bonus static shiv as well. Going to make it already hard for Maokai to trade with that Trundle at this stage of the game. Going to make it even harder. Now, H2K moving up to the top side. This is some pretty proactive play from them. They may look to burn down this tower, and Giants are nowhere to be seen.
Yep.
3 members on the way, but the tower's going to drop. H2K too quick on the draw here.
Good awareness from H2K. SONSTAR is stuck yet again in the bottom lane, trying to fix a movement that H2K put into place first. They push out bottom wave, or it was pushing out, and then SONSTAR's trying to fix that problem, but leaves his top side exposed. And especially on a champion like Sivir, you need to be around your team. He needs to give the speed boost to SmittyJ, because in terms of hard catch, Giants have very little. There's a lot more CC and pick potential on H2K.
Oh, not going to find it quite yet. Destiny used along with the arrow.
Field goal.
Freeze. Gearing up. Ryu just going to teleport to the blue buff, of course. Doesn't want to follow up on that play after the arrow has been missed. We'll have it up shortly, though. Perks of the Essence Reaver.
Yeah, it's always good to use that Destiny the second you kind of try and engage, to get a gauge on what's going on, who may be missing. Because if you kind of lose track of one or two key members, Giants can turn around these team fights. H2K, they slowed down about 5 minutes ago, but they're understanding their comp again. Now Freeze, a little over eager, has to flash. There was a looming threat here from Knight on the side too. QE flash is enough to just take down an AD carry. Viktor incredibly strong.
Of course, something that they have to consider playing a little bit more carefully. Trundle still split pushing on the bottom. Really cannot afford to get caught on the top side in the meantime. SONSTAR happy to catch that wave as Knight and Maxlore teaming up, roaming around as the pair here. And Odo, relentless in this pressure. SmittyJ kind of just relegated to this wave clear duty.
And this is a concept that we kind of saw from Origin in week 1 as well, where they have a very strong group comp. For example, they ran double poke with Maokai. And yeah, if you group, fight around an objective, great. Comp is fantastic. But if you give up lane priority, which generally translates to whoever pushes first. So Trundle is always pushing the Maokai. These side lanes are being pushed in because SONSTAR can't get there because he'll overextend due to the risk of getting picked off. That's why always you'll see TF and Ashe kind of push it out. Not necessarily always because they're stronger 1v1, but because there's just a greater risk of too many people joining the fight. Random arrows coming out, TF ultis.
Yep.
So there's lane priority on the side lanes, which means Giants always kind of dealing with a problem. And it's not allowing them to group up, and that is the way H2K want to win this game. They want to split up the Giants lineup, make them deal with all the problems they create, and then still find an opening where they can get a pick off with an arrow or a Destiny.
Something that we have to look at, though, is as this Mountain Drake starts to spawn, Trundle's on the bottom side as well, so there's not a whole lot of split pressure. And Odoamne could be in trouble. Pillar comes out, Maxlore on the way in, Flash mounting Dread. As he continues to push forward, Odoamne just trying to flash away as well. SmittyJ flash, he's going in. They're going to try to burn through that Trundle's health bar. He is set to drop. Great play coming in from Giants.
Yeah, and that's a good reaction from Giants. They see the opening. They realize that if they move in numbers and there's no crossmap potential on the top side, they can actually make a good pick off in the bottom side.
TF on the way in. Smitty, that's not the TP your team needed. Drops down in the end as the rest of his team looks for the Dragon. And H2K are pinging the mid lane. They want to trade something back.
Yeah, I wonder why he went for that play. Maybe he was trying to get to the mid wave and kind of proxy it, good old Marin style. He probably was trying to deal with some sort of rotation in the mid lane here. Let's see how this plays out.
On the hunt, burned. Vander burning down so quickly. Chaos Storm, that is an insane amount of damage. Jankos is going to drop. No kills traded back yet, but a lot of cooldowns burned. H2K managed to back off with their lives.
So both top laners fall. The Dragon goes to the side of Giants. They did finish it off.
Yep, so Mountain and a Cloud backing them up now. They'll make it back to lane a little bit faster, and it'll be a little bit easier for them to burn down the towers or this Baron if they ever find a good enough position to do so. However, Ryu, as well as Odoamne, just continuing to push out these side lanes, as you said, trying to get that pressure down on the map.
Yeah, you need to lock him down. It's like a wrestler pinning down his opponent. If you give him 1 or 2 free arms, he's just gonna, if he's stronger, he will take you down. And that is what Giants is. They are stronger in these team fight scenarios. You saw the power right there. If they can get behind you or one flank, if they can allow SmittyJ to connect with Twisted Advance on any member, Giants can win. Obviously, later on, if we get more damage on these carries, they'll need to be a little bit careful because the late game TF plus Ashe can kite you very, very well.
Hard to deal with the red cards and the arrows, but Giants, they have the confidence to pull the trigger here. They're ready to start the Baron. Ashe arrow goes in. It's going to hit Knight. Cleanse comes out. The turnaround. Jankos up in the air. Going to drop Smitty on the front line. On the hunt. Burn. Giants actually taking a lot of damage on the backside. Maxlore using that heal, using the invulnerability to keep this fight going, but H2K absolutely have the momentum. Destiny comes out, and it's Giants' destiny to fall, but Ryu, he's going to drop first. What was he thinking? Odo, he's on the chase, but they're not going to be able to grab anything. Vander playing footsies with Maxlore in the jungle. I don't know if he's going to be able to get this one either. Jumps in. Romp. That's the assist you wanted.
Technically a 2v1. Maxlore signed his own death note right there by attacking the Gromp. Good kiting. by H2K. They approached the fight correctly. They engaged, got the arrow, and a big mistake from SONSTAR.
Oh, SONSTAR moving in. He is going to grab the kill onto Zyra. But that's just the consolation prizes. Baron still looking to fall. The heal comes out. They need that smite from Jankos. They're trying to push it down. H2K do secure the Baron 24 minutes in. They're backing off. And Giants may be pushing in for more.
That is not a 7,000 gold power play. But yeah, a lot of things happened that fight.
That was incredibly chaotic.
Yeah, let's go over them one by one. It was Giants starting the Baron. Why? Because they wanted to force H2K's hand. They say, you know what? We are teamfight, come teamfight us. But this right here, Spell Shield popped, but SONSTAR walks backwards. He doesn't take the arrow for Knight. So Knight right now is already on 50% utility. SmittyJ is zoning, but there's nobody dealing damage because both Knight and SONSTAR were kind of walking back. So disoriented. This forced a very early ultimate from Maxlore. And at this point, due to really good kiting and obviously the Baron helping heaps of damages across the board too for Giants, it was just an ill-advised fight. It was too much. And then Maxlore accidentally attacks Grump here. And he received 2v1.
Just nice little assist. We'll just get the boop. Got him.
The BM kill. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Grump is like my Pokemon.
Yeah, gonna finish him off. Go, Grump! Use, what is the Grump's attack even called?
It's called Spittle.
Spittle. It worked.
Pokemon never really attack trainers. That would be a little bit morbid.
Yeah.
Go Charizard.
He tried to attack Wolf, right? Because Wolf is like Kindred's Pokemon. Of course, as we get super sidetracked here. Tower is going to drop in the mid lane. H2K, though, now have that power of the Baron in their hands and may look to continue pressuring. Odoamne, he's doubled up on the buffs. Glimpse of the Void. Got the Baron buff as well. Happy to push out in the bottom lane, but he's just going to back off. He sees Giants retreating. He doesn't want to take any risks here.
Definitely strength in numbers. Giants can easily still win a fight if the Viktor ultimate plus laser connects on a key target. So need to be wary of that. Also, we saw SmittyJ walk forward. See a pickoff here on the Maokai. And when alone, obviously, he can get taken down. It will take quite a while. Ryu's tanking too much.
Oh,
arrow goes wide.
Just barely missing, but as you said, Ryu tanking so much damage from the tower. He's going to have that Rod of Ages to heal up, but it looks like he's just going to back off. TP, of course, available for him as well, and H2K will walk away with the turret unscathed.
Yeah, the planted turret zone is enough to take down these Zyra turrets. It may prove difficult to take down the base. But we see H2K, they're understanding how to play the game. They want to take down SmittyJ in scenarios where he can't impact the team fight. So either where he overextends to zone, as we saw in the Baron fight, he was trying to defend his team, but his team was not using the time where he was tanking damage to return damage of their own. Then obviously he drops. Or simply you pick him off when you divide. Divide and conquer, always the way to play for these pick comps.
And definitely just these little bits of miscoordination really playing against Giants overall. Maxlore, though, on the side, on the hunt, burned.
Yeah, SONSTAR deciding it's time to fight because SmittyJ
is in there. They've got the flank. He's not going down at all. Ryu taking so much damage. Zanya comes out. Freeze, though, throwing out the auto attacks, but he doesn't have enough to fight Smitty just yet. And oh my god, the Viktor damage. They're pushing for more. Maxlore throws down the respite. Not a single member of Giants has dropped, and it doesn't look like one will. That is a 3 for 0.
Yeah, 3 for 0. H2K showed the strength of their composition when they were singling out SmittyJ just a moment earlier. Giants replied, you know what, you showed yours, I'll show you mine. Flying from Maokai in the backline, instant connect on the carries, and obviously that freed up SONSTAR and Knight to do damage pretty much unscathed. And then Maxlore at the end of the fight can always pop his ulti. So that was the dream fight for Giants. They closed the gap here, looking to get some more spoils out of this one team fight.
Very hard for Jankos to approach this tower. Vander doing what he can with the plants. Decent amount of damage onto Knight, but Defiance will make sure that the team makes it out safely. One more Mountain Drake on the menu as Maxlore tries to solo this one out. And I gotta say, coordination for team fights was back and forth for Giants, but when it counted, they were finally able to get on the same page. Maxlore, though, still gonna be able to get this one. Arrow not going to land.
I'll teleport from the top, so look for the pillar to just kind of go on full on Gandalf on this one.
They are going to pass, though. Slow and steady, Odoamne.
Yeah, you still do not want to run into a Viktor. Maybe half HP, but you'll soon be that as well if you chase into him.
Comes out, though. We can watch that one more time. Just a beautiful flank here and great engage from Giants.
Look at how he pressed W. What a skilled Maokai player. But yeah, he did exactly what he needed to do. The lone ward is kind of the victor of that fight.
Yeah, really.
Whoever placed that one won the team fight. And I feel like SONSTAR's reputation helped him there too. Because when he popped on the hunt, it looked like a waste to us too. And I wonder if if H2K was thinking the same too, he's just tilting, pressing R and Sivir, and suddenly Maokai strikes from the back.
Ends up being the right call. The team seemed to hesitate for a second, but finally capitalizing on SmittyJ's presence in the back line. H2K have to be a little bit more careful. Giants pushing in for more vision. Maxlore getting aggressive, takes a lot of damage. Arrow is going to land. Can they burn him down before the respite? They are going to be able to, actually. Sivir moving in to try to do what she can, but she's running tail tucked between her legs. H2K, they get the Kindred, and they're just going to have to walk away with the single kill.
And Maxlore flashed, wasn't aware of the traveling arrow that was following him. One auto attack from Freeze took him down at the end there. Respite stayed down. I like the boldness in his dash. As the stun hit him, he dashed forward. Obviously, Knight having to deal with Odoamne.
Knight potentially in trouble, just walks into the safety of the gravity field. The fight is already starting though. SONSTAR looking for the 1v1. Ryu taking a lot of damage. Destiny coming out. Where's he gonna go? Looks like they're just going to back off here. Is going to try to find the flank above, but Giants retreating in the top lane. They're gonna be able to walk away safely. Ryu now running back to mid.
And this is obviously the point of the game where if Odoamne joins these fights healthy at the start, we can obviously ulti SmittyJ, and suddenly the one tank lineup from Giants is reduced to a 0 tank lineup with that Trundle ultimate. And that's exactly why Smitty wants to connect as early as he can on one of these carries. Twisted advance on Ryu, on Freeze, take them down, do his job, trade his life favorably for one of the carries. Because Sivir Viktor is enough as a double damage, like threat combo, to win teamfights on their own.
I think we've seen that Viktor alone is almost enough to win teamfights on his own. 6-1-3 the score for Knight.
Viktor's a double threat composition.
Yeah. There's the first half of the laser and the second half of the laser. And I mean, just terrifying how much damage this guy's been able to put out. You said it at the start, the new Chaos Storm just so much stronger, and every time that thing ticks, someone is losing half their health.
It's also so hard to learn how to play against because you're used to this continuous flow of damage for Viktor. So if you're a League of Legends player that just came back and it's like, oh, this ultimate doesn't do that much damage as you walk in and out of it, and you're just moving in between tick rates, haphazardly, and then you just get a couple of ticks, like, oh, I see what they changed. I do not like this change.
See, you got a lot of time to see too, because you're probably dead if you get hit by 1 or 2 ticks at this stage of the game. Jankos, the rest of the team moving forward. A lot of seeds set up. And of course, Rylai's coming out for the Viktor as well, so incredibly hard to escape here.
Yeah, exactly. That just works together with that build. The laser slows you down, suddenly the ulti is chasing you. It's like a bad B-tier horror movie. Like a drama movie getting chased by a storm. Can he escape? Can he not? Does he have to flash?
It's the day after tomorrow of League of Legends. Maxlore taking a ton of poke damage. A lot of high-range champions on the side of H2K. They don't want to fight quite yet. They're just continuing to throw these spells out. Baron, once again, the point of contention for both these teams. Cloud Drake next on the way, but not really an objective worth fighting over. Flash moving in, great coordination here. Maybe looking for more gravity field drops. Maxlore is gonna get the Lamb's respite down. Here comes the re-engage. Ryu, the sole target of the Chaos Storm, moving in, Stranglethorn, SmittyJ in the backline, but he doesn't get Jankos. No, the Sapperling will seal the kill, but they get one back. SmittyJ finally falling, but he does get the jungler.
Yeah, this is where you really need to shift your playstyle on the fly. It's very hard to play Maokai. As we were joking, it's like, you look at the Flash W earlier, it's actually quite hard to play Maokai in some of these scenarios because sometimes your role is literally to do what SmittyJ just did. Hard peel going forward, but his entire team was kind of kiting backwards just now, so he too should have fled from the fight. Let's see this again. The layering isn't quite perfect. Ryu card just came out a fraction of a second too late, and at this point, Giants, they're disengaging, but SmittyJ is stuck in the back actually trying to peel, so in this scenario, there was actually not much he could have done other than possibly cancel the teleport. Yes, he teleported in, so he probably should have just canceled straight up his teleport.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to read that in that scenario. I don't think anybody could have made that read.
Very, very difficult call to make, and if you don't teleport, the team fight can just turn against you so quickly.
The team just couldn't follow up on the Zyra ulti. Once Zyra puts her ulti down, you can't charge through it. Half your team will at least get stuck, and then it's a very easy cleanup and very easy target selection for H2K. So that's why these fights are incredibly hard to play at this point in the game from Giants if H2K are the ones driving them. We need a surprise. Giants, they're looking for a random pickup, a flash twisted advance, so that the Zyra ulti is kind of reactionary instead of part of the kiting process.
Yeah, both teams with the tools to just blow someone up if they get the opportunity, but can't afford to join the fight second.
Ooh, Knight's kind of stuck on the side here. Yeah, that means the Baron has to be stopped. And that means bot lane is getting pushed in because, as we mentioned earlier, no teleport on Maokai, which then the reactionary play from Giants is going to be, guys, we have to start Baron here, 4v5, withstand the poke.
All comes out. Great block from SONSTAR. No one else going to get it. Baron steadily dropping. TP comes in from Odo. SmittyJ once again alone in the back line. Giants grab the Baron. That's a huge buff to their power, but Odo keeps throwing out shots. Storm comes down. Lamb's Respite saving the day here a little bit for Odoamne. Will the tick stack? He's going to have to flash to safety. Smitty drops. Ryu maybe looking for the flash over the wall. Doesn't have it, and Giants once again.
Yeah, and they have improved recall, so while this teleport from Ryu comes out and finishes out the tower, it will not net any more benefit. It all started with the arrow connecting on Hustlin, but there was no follow-up, and it was all about saving Private SmittyJ for Maxlore. Bought enough time, disengage, and then SmittyJ did the good thing, sacrificing his life so his team could get out of there.
I gotta say, good focus coming in from Giants, knowing that they just wanted to burn down the Baron, not looking for that fight. H2K going to pick up their first dragon of the game. Definitely not the one they may be excited about, but let's take a look at this team fight and exactly how this went down. A beautiful block to start it off.
Yeah, was it though? I think Hustlin got hit by it, but you didn't see him because he was kind of knocked up by the Baron. Regardless, SmittyJ moves forward while his team then focuses off Baron. There was no steal from H2K. Lamb's Respite, the team realized they're going to lose this fight, so they all kite backwards. There's no more Destiny available, and they get out, so really good split-second decision-making from Giants because they found themselves without teleport, stuck on the wrong part of the map. Their base was going to shambles, so this was the only call they could make. It was risky. They made the right call, got the Baron. It looked a little iffy when Knight was kind of cut off, but there's a reason H2K didn't commit for him. It's because he has Cleanse, and he can always turn around after the arrow hits and just evaporate Ryu when Ryu wants to teleport in. Yeah, you just put the gravity field on the TF ulti, whack away with laser and ulti, Ryu will have to zone yes, and then you walk away.
Pretty easy to disengage in that scenario, Viktor, of course. If you ever want to enter his personal space, you're going to have to tank a lot of damage. And of course, looking at the top
lane. Gotta befriend him.
Yeah.
Give him some cupcake.
Please. Or alternatively, you make him come to you, which not really an option for H2K at this stage of the game. While Giants have been pushing in, one of the strengths of this composition with the TF, the Zyra, and the Ashe is that it's pretty easy for H2K to clear out those waves, even with the Baron empowerment.
How does one enter Viktor's personal space?
Flash cocoon. You just don't give him a time to react, right? Surprise.
Maokai hooks usually help.
There you go.
They're on the wrong team right now.
Yeah, of course. We talked about limited options here.
All right, now we need to see if they can hold off the siege. You have a couple of good movement blockers, plants slow you down, pillars make it so you can hit your poke, but in raw teamfight prowess, SmittyJ will still be a little bit tanky.
Oh my gosh, Vander.
Yeah, welcome to be Zyra support.
SmittyJ moving forward. They're just going to take this one down pretty easily. Gold still in the favor of H2K.
And even with Odoamne ulting Smitty right now, it'll take too long, I think, for H2K to focus him down. Because there's so much damage on the back end of this fight. Look at Knight, look at SONSTAR, what they can do here. See if H2K can hold.
Looks like they are just going to be able to clear out the wave. Neither side ready for a fight quite yet. Freeze hoping to find that arrow. Yeah, just so hard, though, with that cleanse coming on from Knight.
Yep, momentarily truce here. Giants have 3 dragons. And those effects will get doubled if they can get access to an Elder. And obviously the burn will come in, and then suddenly those little poke spells that they have will obviously be a lot more potent. And I think that's what they're looking to play for. See if they can keep control of the map, not allow H2K to play the divide and conquer strategy again. See if they can get access to more objectives like a dragon, like a Baron eventually. Obviously Maxlore will need that too for his stacks at this point. Let's see where he's at.
Of course, though, looking at how the team has played thus far, H2K still looking for those picks. Freeze still throwing out those arrows left and right. Not finding purchase too much, unfortunately, for the side of H2K. But really just waiting for that Baron, waiting for that Elder Dragon. One more opportunity for Giants to find a team fight. In the meantime, H2K really need to figure out how they want to play this, because without picks, it's going to be nigh impossible to win a lot of these fights.
I wonder if it actually makes sense for Maokais to build kind of a revive into their kit, get the Guardian Angel, under the assumption that you go in, you get ultied by Trundle once, and you die. And then you just spawn again, late enough that all your resistances are restored, maybe more beneficial than trying to just get a lot of them and have a relative large amount stolen, but still have enough left over to deal with the fights.
Something to consider too, especially for SmittyJ, who has consistently been running into the team fight, sometimes a little too ahead of the rest of his teams.
Yeah, sometimes it was also his team's fault, you know? You're the one dying. It's like, oh, Smitty. It's like, guys, I'm just trying to save your behinds here.
Of course, though, the strategy from H2K is coming out. They're looking to split up the team. Smitty left to try to perfect that inhibitor, but it's not going to happen. Giants, in the meantime, will be able to grab that tier 2 tower, but with H2K breaking the first inhibitor, this is a huge pressure advantage in their favor.
Yeah, and it's honestly a mistake. It's hubris from Giants to assume that they can take down something on the other side of the map while not losing the individual split push. Remember, there's also teleport from Ryu. Now Arrow on the back end.
It's going to land onto Hustlin. Destiny comes out. He will get the stun. Good flash from Ryu. That's the pickup. SmittyJ TP's in, but it may be too little too late because Odoamne is here as well. Looking for the chomp, both using the Randuins. Looks like they're going to be able to make it out. Odo backs off, but H2K, huge advantage.
Yeah, the right approach for Giants would have likely just been to secure their side of the map, have some backup for Smitty, because there's no reason to go for outer tier 2. You will never breach the base. They couldn't breach the base without the Baron. How are they going to get any advantage? They couldn't do it with the Baron, rather, so they can't definitely achieve it without the Baron, so they kind of spread too thin, and they allowed Odoamne to take the base. And there's nothing to play for on the map other than Dragon and Baron, which haven't even spawned yet. So I think this was a bit of a map mistake from Giants. Going for a tier 2 tower on the other side of the map with really no benefit at all, and a cost far too large to take at this point in the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of those areas where younger lineups do tend to falter is this late game decision making. And while Giants have had some pretty shining moments in terms of team fighting prowess and one or two moments of coordination, the mistakes are still very much there for this young lineup.
Yeah.
And now it looks like Elder Dragon going to be the focus.
Ryu doesn't have flash this fight though. That was a good zoning field from Viktor here, and a flank potentially from SmittyJ. He gets sniffed out, but he's doing his job. He's just threatening from the side. Maxlore side steps.
Great side step on the arrow. SmittyJ maybe looking to go to the back line. H2K trying to burn down the tank first. Great disengage with the Stranglethorns, but the Lamb's Respite comes out. Ryu looking for the flank on the back line. Here he comes. Gold card up and available. Knight burning down in the meantime. Freeze is going to grab that kill. Ryu getting ripped through, but there's a great Zhonya's for the team. Oh no, Maokai drops. SONSTAR is next. What a play from H2K. A triple, a double, the full house. That's going to be the ace.
Yeah, turn and burn, full house for H2K. They sniff out Maxlore, engage him in, force the engage, and then they kite. And then Ryu repositions later in the fight. H2K decisively stronger in the late game. Giants not just quite there yet. Next is going down.
H2K happy to pick up that first win in the series, and despite some hiccups, despite some lost team fights, still managed to close it out with confidence.
Yeah, that's just game one. We could at least see both these teams understand goals of their composition at different points in the game, but also we saw them get punished for just not thinking far enough ahead. H2K at times early game needlessly grouping. We're not syncing their engage. Then Giants as well, trying to get too much at once. Very hard later in the game, but we also saw the power of this Trundle ultimate, why it's considered, especially here in Europe, one of the higher tier picks in top lane, because it just nullifies the other tank and something you're playing one tank versus 0.
Exactly, and you saw SmittyJ get burned down, but additionally, Vander doing very well with that Stranglethorns, the ultimate coming out from Zyra, really making it difficult for that run-at-you composition to actually get on top of the team from H2K.
Yeah, he only died twice. As Zyra, that's probably the equivalent to going deathless in a game. It's so easy to die on that champion, so he definitely did his job, biding his time, throwing out snares, and then just kiting.
What makes me sad is I can't make the joke about mid-maxing your damage value by using the passive, because it's not the same. Gone are the days of the true damage teamfight shot.
Unlucky.
A lot more plants, though, and we saw exactly how much harass those were able to put out and how much zone control they provided, because SmittyJ wanted to get into the team fight, wanted to be that frontliner, had to spend a decent amount of time clearing out plants before he did get to arrive, and when he finally did, too little too late. Trundle uses Subjugate.
Vander was just being nice, putting him back in the forest with his brethren. It's like, here, little tree, have some more plants around you, slow you down. Yeah, SmittyJ tried. It all comes down to whether there's follow-up on the damage, if you can lock a target down, but there was so much CC and peel, so eventually later in the game, it was just too much, like Cocoon, all these arrows slowing down plants, Trundle pillars. It made it so hard for Giants to kind of weed through the maze and get to where they needed to be.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it felt like the CC advantage for H2K was just simply too great. You said it's hard to weave through those things, and when all they have is the Viktor and the Maokai, like one AoE potential stun, as well as, you know, one guaranteed point and click, it's just not enough CC. And Karma and Sivir, yes, they make you so fast, but at the end of the day, it's simply too much to deal with. Of course, for more on that game, let's send it over to Trevor Quickshot Henry at the Telestrator.